always had a smile on her face, never was mean, was never the mean girl.
This is Tetorsha Williams, a 30-year-old mother of one from Chicago who would horrifyingly lose her life after marrying a felon after giving birth to their first child. In a quiet Chicago neighborhood, an ordinary morning would soon turn into a nightmare that no one saw coming. What was meant to be a fresh start for a young woman with dreams of a brighter future quickly turned into a brutal tragedy that shook an entire community. On the morning of May 9, 2024, 28-year-old Tetorsha Williams, known to loved ones as Bobo, would be found lying lifeless on the kitchen floor of her own home, shot multiple times by the one person she should have been able to trust most, her own husband. But the tragedy didn't just stop with her death. It was the culmination of years of manipulation, broken promises, and an unhealthy relationship that would ultimately lead to a heartbreaking end. What led this devoted mother to become a victim of such brutal violence? And what was the motive behind a crime that forever altered the course of so many lives? But before we get to the shocking twist that altered everything, let's go back to where this picture-perfect love story first began, because sometimes the most dangerous situations are hidden behind the happiest facades.
With this being so close to home, that was really scary for me.
Tetorsha Williams was born on January 28, 1996 in Chicago, Illinois, to her loving parents, Tretta McClure and Terrell Williams. Growing up in a large family, Tetorsha was surrounded by love, but it was her twin sister, Tasha, with whom she shared the closest bond. From a young age, Tetorsha's infectious smile and radiant personality made her unforgettable to those who knew her. Tetorsha's educational journey was marked by excellence. She began her schooling at St. Malachy Catholic School, where she was known for her academic achievements and her ability to connect with others. Tetorsha's love for learning didn't stop there. She continued her education at Our Lady of Tepac High School, where she built lasting friendships and left a lasting impact on the people around her. After graduating high school, she pursued further studies at Malcolm X College, determined to secure a brighter future for herself and her family. She also worked part-time at various jobs, including MB's Kitchen and KFC, where her friendly nature earned her the affection of customers and colleagues alike. But Tetorsha wasn't just focused on her career. She was a woman of strong character, someone who believed in doing what was right for others. Her passion for protecting people and making a difference led her to a career in security, where she quickly rose to the occasion. Sadly, in the end, the one person she couldn't save was herself. Tetorsha's hard work and dedication were evident in everything she did, from her job to her personal life, where she aimed to provide a stable and loving home for her son. In 2018, Tetorsha's life changed in an unexpected way. She became a mother to a son, Christian. Becoming a mother at just 22 years old, Tetorsha dedicated her life to her child, always making sure that he was her top priority. Despite the challenges of being a young mother, she worked tirelessly to provide for Christian, determined to give him the future she had always dreamed of for herself. But it wasn't just Christian who filled her heart. Tetorsha also hoped for a better future with her partner, Kevin Scott, nicknamed Relro, who she believed would be a supportive and loving husband.
This cool. I'm coming out anyways. No, this is only part of the gym. You ain't got to park.
Tetorsha was only 17 when she met Kevin, while he was nearly twice her age. That alone was a glaring red flag. Tetorsha was a vulnerable young woman, and Kevin, a manipulative man, was grooming her from the very start. But the warning signs didn't stop there. Kevin carried a troubling past. He was a convicted felon with 2 prior convictions, the details of which were never publicly disclosed. What was clear, however, was that Kevin was dangerous.
That early morning flow, man, we out here. AM traffic. The early bird get the wine. Hustle never stop. Money can't sleep. So you know what that means. I don't sleep. We out here in it. Dream chasing. I ain't no more dream chasing, but I'm out here. I love money. If I ain't got no money, Don't eat. You know what I'm talking about? Shit. I don't do this for the like. I do this for real. We are in this shit. Believe that.
His history was littered with failed relationships, broken homes, and children from multiple women. Though already a father to several kids, he had never been a stable or committed presence in any of their lives. The pattern was always the same: charm, control, and eventual abandonment. And this wasn't just a warning, it was a foreshadowing of the tragic fate that Tetorsha would one day face. Kevin was not a man who could offer love, security, or stability. Yet, despite these glaring red flags, Tetorsha believed he was the one. Unbeknownst to her, she was being lured into a nightmare. Kevin preyed on her innocence and naivete, weaving an illusion of love and devotion that blinded her to the truth. But as time went on, cracks began to form in their relationship. What began as a whirlwind romance when Tetorsha was only 17 quickly turned into a toxic and emotionally draining relationship. Despite Tetorsha's youth, she believed in the potential of their love, and eventually, after 2 years together, she married Kevin, hoping that things would turn around. But Kevin's behavior didn't change. He remained a selfish, neglectful, and unfaithful partner who never fully committed to the family. Tetorsha found herself doing everything, from raising their son to taking care of his other children from previous relationships. By 2024, after years of emotional abuse and neglect, Tetorsha finally reached a breaking point. She had done everything she could to make the relationship work, but it became clear that Kevin would never change. Tetorsha had to make a decision. She decided to leave him for good, ready to reclaim the life she had once dreamed of. She wanted a life where she and her son could thrive without the toxicity that had plagued their home for so long. On the morning of May 9, 2024, Tetorsha took the brave step of confronting Kevin about their relationship. She finally told him she was done, that she was leaving, and that it was over. But Kevin, who had always been manipulative and controlling, couldn't accept the rejection. As she told him that she was ready to move on, their argument quickly escalated, spiraling out of control. What started as raised voices quickly turned into violence. Kevin, enraged by her decision to leave him, grabbed a gun. In a moment of pure rage, he shot Tetorsha multiple times in the kitchen of their home. Tetorsha, who had dedicated years to this relationship, found herself betrayed in the most brutal way imaginable. The kitchen, once a place where meals were shared and memories were made, became the scene of a tragic murder. After shooting her, Kevin didn't stay to face the consequences. He fled the scene, leaving Tetorsha's lifeless body behind. Hours passed before Tetorsha's family began to grow worried when she stopped responding to messages and phone calls. By 3 p.m. that afternoon, her family called the police to conduct a welfare check. What the police found when they arrived was horrifying. Tetorsha's body lay in a pool of blood, her life taken by the very man she had once trusted. Kevin, however, had vanished, disappearing into thin air. After the shocking discovery of Tetorsha Williams's lifeless body, the authorities immediately launched an investigation into what had transpired within the walls of the couple's home.
Chicago police discovered a woman shot in the chest on the kitchen floor of a residence on the city's south side. This happened at 61st and King Drive in Washington Park. The woman was taken to UFC Hospital where she was pronounced dead. Police say nobody is in custody.
The argument that morning had been heated, but it had been the final straw for Tetorsha, who had gathered the strength to leave Kevin for good. She had finally realized that no matter how hard she tried, she could no longer fix what was broken. Kevin, however, wasn't ready to let go. His sense of control and ego were more important to him than his family. As soon as Tetorsha broke the news, his rage took over. With no hesitation, he grabbed the gun and shot her multiple times. The coldness of his actions would haunt everyone who knew Tetorsha. The police were quick to confirm that Kevin Scott, Tetorsha's husband, was the prime suspect. A suspect who had gone from a man Tetorsha once trusted to a violent killer in the blink of an eye. What shocked those around Tetorsha the most was how the violence had escalated so quickly. This was not the man she had once dreamed of building a life with. This was someone she had been manipulated into staying with for far too long. News of Tetorsha's death spread rapidly throughout her community. Friends and family members who had known her as a kind and loving mother were in disbelief. How could something so senseless happen to someone so full of life? Tetorsha's son, Christian, was now left without a mother, and the community was left to pick up the pieces. Law enforcement wasted no time in launching a full-scale manhunt for Kevin Scott. With the mounting evidence against him, the authorities were determined to catch him as quickly as possible. His disappearance only made the case even more alarming. Tetorsha's family and friends were left in limbo, waiting for the authorities to bring the man responsible to justice. They clung to hope that Kevin would be found and held accountable for taking the life of someone they loved dearly. The manhunt for Kevin intensified, and a $10,000 reward was offered for information leading to his capture. But despite the efforts of law enforcement and Tetorsha's grieving family, Kevin remained on the run. However, Tetorsha's family refused to sit in silence. As the days turned into weeks, Tetorsha's family took matters into their own hands, using social media to spread the word and ask for any information. One of Tetorsha's aunts, Sabrina Love, took to social media to help spread the word about Kevin's fugitive status. As the family worked tirelessly to bring Kevin to justice, they uncovered something even more disturbing. Kevin wasn't just hiding on his own. His own mother was allegedly helping him evade capture. This revelation only fueled the family's frustration and anger. How could Kevin's mother, who had seen the destruction he had caused, continue to protect him? The family's calls for justice grew louder, and despite the slow progress of the investigation, they refused to back down. They continued to use social media to draw attention to Kevin's fugitive status, hoping that someone would come forward with crucial information that could lead to his capture. Months passed, and Tetorsha's family was left with no answers. The slow pace of the investigation weighed heavily on them. But then, on July 18, 2024, there was a breakthrough. Law enforcement finally tracked down Kevin Scott, bringing an end to the 2-month-long manhunt. He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder in connection with Tetorsha's death. For Tetorsha's family, the arrest was bittersweet. While they were relieved that Kevin had finally been caught, they knew that no amount of punishment would ever bring Tetorsha back. Her son, Christian, would grow up without his mother, and that fact would never change. But at least now, Kevin would face the consequences of his actions. Kevin was brought to court on July 20, 2024, and while the details of the court proceedings remain under wraps, one thing was clear: the man responsible for Tetorsha's death was finally going to face justice. But for the family, the journey was far from over. The legal process would take time, and they knew that the trial could take months or even years before a verdict was reached. But as long as Kevin was held accountable, they would find solace in knowing that his actions would not go unpunished. On May 21, 2024, just over a week after Tetorsha's tragic death, her loved ones gathered at St. Malachy Church on Washington Blue in Chicago to say their final goodbyes. The church was filled with the sounds of song and laughter, as family and friends remembered Tetorsha's life with love and admiration. But while they mourned her death, they also celebrated her spirit. Her family shared stories, sang her favorite songs, and reminisced about the good times they had shared with her. Despite the pain and sorrow that filled the room, there was a sense of unity and strength among those who loved Tetorsha. She had touched so many lives in her short time on earth, and her legacy would live on through them. But there was still a deep, painful emptiness that no amount of celebration could fill. Tetorsha was gone, and her family was left to navigate a life without her. As of now, Tetorsha's family is still awaiting the resolution of Kevin's trial. While the wheels of justice continue to turn, they know that nothing will bring Tetorsha back. However, they remain steadfast in their pursuit of justice. For Tetorsha, for her son, and for the community that lost someone so special, the fight isn't over. The tragic end to Tetorsha's life serves as a reminder of the dangers of toxic relationships, the red flags that are often ignored, and the devastating consequences of domestic violence. Her story is a call to action for anyone who is trapped in an abusive relationship. There is always a way out. And in the case of Tetorsha, her family is determined to make sure that her death will not be in vain. As Tetorsha's family and friends continue to grieve her loss, the emotional toll on the community has been profound. Tetorsha Williams was more than just a mother, a wife, or a friend. She was a bright light in her community, known for her kindness, warmth, and unrelenting dedication to her family. Her untimely death has left a void in the lives of those who knew her, and they are struggling to come to terms with the fact that she was taken from them far too soon. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of Tetorsha's death is the impact it has had on her young son, Christian. At just 5 years old, Christian is too young to fully understand the gravity of what has happened, but he will grow up without the love and guidance of his mother. His life has been irrevocably changed, and the pain of losing his mother will stay with him for the rest of his life. While Tetorsha's family is doing everything they can to support Christian and provide him with the love he needs, there is no replacing the bond between a mother and her child. Christian will never get to experience the full potential of the future that his mother had worked so hard to give him. This is the cruelest consequence of Kevin's actions. He has robbed not only Tetorsha's family of their loved one, but also Christian of a future filled with a mother's love and care. Tetorsha's family, while devastated, is committed to ensuring that Christian grows up surrounded by love and support. They are doing everything they can to step in and provide him with the stability he needs. But even with the support of his extended family, the void left by his mother's death will always be present. Tetorsha's story is a reminder of how domestic violence can escalate, often without warning, and can result in tragic consequences. Her loved ones are now left with not only the pain of losing her, but also the weight of knowing that her death was caused by someone she trusted, the man she once loved and hoped to build a future with. The grief and anger that her family feels are compounded by the slow pace of justice. While they are relieved that Kevin Scott has been arrested, they know that the legal process is just beginning. The road to justice is long, and Tetorsha's family is bracing themselves for what lies ahead. For them, this is not just about seeking punishment for Kevin, but also about ensuring that no other family has to go through the pain and heartbreak that they are experiencing right now. Tetorsha's story is not just a personal tragedy. It is a cautionary tale for anyone who finds themselves in a toxic or abusive relationship. Domestic violence doesn't always look like what we expect. It's not always physical. It can be emotional, psychological, or even financial. But the consequences of staying in a harmful relationship can be deadly. Tetorsha was just 28 years old when she was brutally taken from her family. She had dreams, she had ambitions, and she had a bright future ahead of her. But those dreams were cut short by a man who manipulated and controlled her for years. For anyone reading this, if you are in an abusive or controlling relationship, it is important to seek help. There are resources available, and you don't have to go through this alone. The signs of abuse can sometimes be hard to spot, especially when they are hidden behind manipulation and charm, but the consequences of ignoring those signs can be devastating. No one deserves to be in an abusive relationship, and there is always a way out.
So intervening would be providing the preventative measures that we need in order to empower a woman to create an exit plan if that be the case.
Judge Lachelle Stroud says parents need to teach kids how to recognize red flags early on.
If you have someone who is controlling at the beginning of a relationship, they are getting very physical, as in touching you without your permission. They are monitoring your whereabouts.
If you're a victim of abuse, Stroud says share your experience with your children when appropriate.
Tetorsha's family wants to ensure that her story serves as a wake-up call for others. They want to make sure that no one else has to endure the pain and loss they are feeling. By sharing Tetorsha's story, they hope to raise awareness about the dangers of toxic relationships and encourage others to seek help before it's too late. As Tetorsha's family waits for the trial, they remain determined to see this through. Their fight for justice is not just for Tetorsha, but for Christian and for the future that was stolen from them all. They want to make sure that Kevin Scott is held fully accountable for his actions. No amount of time in prison will ever bring Tetorsha back, but it will serve as a reminder that there are consequences for violence. For Tetorsha's family, this is not just about seeking revenge. It is about ensuring that Tetorsha's life and legacy are honored. It is about making sure that her story is heard and that her death is not in vain. They are committed to making sure that Kevin faces the full force of the law, and they are committed to ensuring that others are aware of the dangers of staying in toxic relationships. As they continue to grieve the loss of their loved one, they are also reminded of the importance of family, community, and support. Tetorsha's family is strong, and while they will never fully heal from the pain of losing her, they are determined to keep her memory alive and to ensure that her death serves as a reminder to others of the devastating consequences of domestic violence. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.